Picture this. You are 17 years old, your head freshly shaven, the last strands of your old life swept away with a silent stroke. The stone beneath your bare feet is cold as you stand with hundreds of other girls, all facing the colossal red walls of the Forbidden City. The sun has not yet risen, but the world here is already awake. Breath clouds in the dawn air, carrying the scents of incense and stale fear. An official in crimson silk shouts a command. You step forward, and the massive gates, painted with gold and dragon motifs, grown open just wide enough for you to slip inside. The world you have known falls away with the clang of iron behind you. Your heart pounds in your throat as you clutch a thin cotton robe, the only thing left from home. Around you, girls from every province in China, some sobbing softly, some stone-faced with terror, are jostled by guards who do not meet your gaze. Somewhere behind, your mother's face is lost in the crowd, but you can still feel the weight of her last words. Bring honor to our family. Do not shame us already. You sense that honor here is measured by your silence and your obedience, not your hopes. You try not to look back because you know you'll never see her again. Inside the shadowed courtyard, an old eunuch marks your name on a bamboo slip and gestures you toward a line. The other girls stare straight ahead. No one speaks. Rumors swirl like dust. Some say if you stumble, you'll be sent home in disgrace. Others whisper that those who fail the first inspection don't go home at all. The silence is thick with dread, broken only by the shuffling of slippers on stone. You're aware acutely of every sensation. The rough grain of the robe at your neck, the way your hands shake when you try to still them, the distant clang of bells echoing from deeper within the palace. Here's the secret. Everything you thought you knew about the Imperial harem is a lie. In stories, being chosen for the palace was the highest honor, a chance at luxury, silk, and undying fame. But in this place, honor is a cage, and silk is only another uniform. You are not here to be admired. You are here to be inspected, measured, judged by standards you cannot understand. They will count your teeth, your fingers, examine your skin for flaws. If you flinch, if you so much as breathe at the wrong moment, you risk being marked as defective, useless. Think concubinage was romantic? The reality would make modern beauty contests look like paradise. At least in a pageant you might keep your name, your family, your body. Here, failure means oblivion. There are no second chances, no explanations. If you are rejected, you are not just sent away, you are erased. Families that send a defective daughter to the palace can lose all hope of advancement, sometimes facing ruin or punishment for wasting the emperor's time. The statistics are as cold as the marble floors. Of every 100 girls brought here, barely a handful will ever be seen by the emperor, and most will vanish into the palace's endless corridors, unremembered. But here's where it gets worse. The moment you cross that threshold, you become the property of the Dragon Throne. From now on, you belong to the system, not to yourself, not to your parents, not even to your own future. They shave your head to strip away your past. They issue you a number to erase your name. You are not a person. You are a potential asset or a liability to be discarded at will. The origins of this nightmare are as old as the Forbidden City itself. It was the Ming Dynasty that first codified the mass recruitment of girls for the imperial harem. Each family desperate for a chance at imperial favor, each village ordered to send its fairest, its healthiest, its most obedient. But by the time of the Qing, the process had become a machine, regulated by imperial decree. The Empress Dowager, herself once a selected girl, rules this system with an iron gaze, inspecting the ranks with the eye of a farmer culling her flock. Regional quotas determine who is eligible. If your family is too poor, you're rejected. If you're too old, too young, too tall, too short, you're rejected. If you fail the first health check, you're rejected, and no one will tell your family why. Historical records show how every 3 years, the imperial edict would sweep across the provinces like a cold wind, summoning hundreds of girls from all corners of China. Some are daughters of merchants, some are daughters of farmers. All are pawns in a game they cannot see. For many families, this is the only chance to rise in the world. For others, it is a sentence passed down by poverty or misfortune, a hope wrapped in terror. The line moves forward. You hear the first cries, quiet, quickly muffled. Ahead, a girl is pulled from the line by 2 officials in blue, her name erased from the list. You wonder what she did wrong, or if she even knows. Your stomach clenches. Behind you, a guard barks for silence. You clench your teeth and try to stop shaking. No one helps you. No one cares if you break. Survival is the only law here, but this is only the beginning. The first inspection is just steps away. In a low candle-lit room, officials in dragon-embroidered robes wait behind lacquered screens. You see the glint of surgical knives, the jars of strange medicines, the quiet, expressionless faces of doctors and eunuchs. What will they find when your turn comes? What will they decide about the fate of your body, your future, your family's name? As you step forward, the light from the braziers makes your shadow stretch across the polished floor, long and thin and shivering. The gates have closed behind you. The only way out is through, and somewhere deep inside the palace, someone is watching, waiting to see who will survive this first trial and who will simply disappear. You shuffle forward, pulse roaring in your ears, until you stand beneath the painted eyes of a stone lion. An elderly eunuch reads your number, not your name, from a bamboo slip. He gestures, and you're separated from the line, ushered down a narrow hallway into a room filled with smoke and harsh lamplight. The door thuds closed. The world has shrunk to this chamber, bare walls, freezing flagstones, and 3 men in imperial blue. You try not to meet their eyes. They tell you to strip. Not a word is wasted, not a moment's hesitation. You undo the cotton robe and hand it over, skin prickling in the cold. You stand exposed as they circle you with the bored, clinical eyes of livestock traders. Fingers prod your spine, trace your jaw, press into your belly, searching for any flaw. One man lifts your arm, inspects the inside of your elbow, muttering something you can't hear. Another prays open your mouth, counting your teeth as if you're a horse. Every movement is silent, efficient, methodical. You try to shrink into the stone, to become invisible. You fail. But this is only the beginning. An official lifts a black brush and paints a mark on your shoulder. You don't know what it means, but you know it matters. Some girls receive a red mark, others a blue. The girls with blue are led away first, out a back door into shadows. You never see them again. No one explains. The lesson is clear. The unmarked, the flawed, the unlucky are disposed of quietly, swept from the palace like refuse. Later you'll hear whispers that the blue-marked girls are forced into palace servitude or sent back to their villages in disgrace, their families punished for their defective blood. But there are darker rumors too, rumors of quiet deaths, of carts leaving the palace by night, of bodies never claimed. You shudder, forced back into your robe, and wait in a second line. This one is silent, the tension suffocating. Around you some girls tremble, others stare with dead eyes. You wonder what they see if they still hope. The silence is broken by the shuffle of slippers as you're led through another set of gates, deeper into the labyrinth. Each step takes you further from the world, deeper into a system you cannot control. Historical records from Emperor Qianlong's reign, dated to the 1730s, show how every detail of this process was codified into law. Edicts dictated the age, height, skin color, family status, even the region of origin for each recruit. The goal was purity, not of the spirit, but of the bloodline, the flesh, the very bones. Qianlong's own words, inscribed on palace records, "Let no blemish enter the dragon's domain." You are not a person, you are a commodity. Your body a tool to preserve the dynasty's perfection. But here's where it gets worse. The physical inspection is just the first cut. You are herded with the other survivors into a windowless dormitory, rows of narrow pallets pressed together, the air thick with sweat and fear. For 3 days and nights, no one leaves. Guards march the halls, watching for any sign of rebellion. Food is rationed, water carefully measured. Some girls break under the strain, weeping for home, clutching at memories that already feel like dreams. At night, the real torment begins. In the darkness, the competition grows teeth. Alliances form and shatter as girls whisper strategies. Which official to please, who to avoid, how to disappear into the background. Some barter bits of food or cloth for information. Some offer favors for a place near the door, believing it is safer, though no one knows why. The weak are singled out, bullied, mocked, ostracized. You realize that kindness is as dangerous as weakness here. The only way to survive is to become blank, to erase yourself, to watch and wait. The psychological games are relentless. Eunuchs test your memory with recitations of palace rules, punish mistakes with slaps or lost meals. The emperor's word is law. The empress. Dowager is the mother of the nation. Your desires are irrelevant. The lessons are simple, repeated until they become reflex. If you fail, you are sent away. If you protest, you are beaten. One girl, too outspoken, is dragged from her pallet in the night. No one sees her again. Documentary anchors from palace memoirs, like those of Princess Derling, who grew up within these walls, describe the ordeal in chilling detail. "We slept with our eyes open," she wrote. "To let down your guard was to invite ruin." You feel her words become your own. But here's what they don't tell you in the storybooks. At every moment, someone is watching. Behind the lacquered screens, older concubines observe you, evaluating not just your beauty, but your silence, your obedience, your ability to endure humiliation without breaking. The Empress. Dowager herself may walk the dormitory at night, her gaze sharp as knives, searching for signs of defiance. Some girls try to stand out, desperate for favor. They smile, flatter, boast of their skills. Most quickly, learn the cost. The palace does not reward boldness. It rewards invisibility. Every story you have ever heard about the glory of becoming an imperial concubine is a lie. This is not a contest of beauty. It is a trial of endurance, of how completely you can erase yourself for the will of others. And then comes the night that changes everything. Lanterns blaze in the courtyard, throwing monstrous shadows on the walls. The guards come, reading names from slips of bamboo. One by one, girls are taken away, sometimes screaming, sometimes silent, sometimes too numb to care. You clutch your blanket, heart pounding as your friend, your only friend, is called. She turns to you, her eyes wide with terror, and then she's gone. The doors close. You will never see her again. Right now, you're feeling the weight of these revelations. This discomfort pressing in on you, it's the recognition of truth. A truth buried by centuries of myth and silence. If confronting these hidden histories changes how you see power and survival, subscribe now to keep exposing the truths that textbooks want buried. This journey is only beginning, and the darkest secrets still wait in the shadows beyond these gates. Outside, the sky is turning black. Inside, you sit in the flickering lamplight, listening for footsteps, for your own name, knowing that here, a single word can erase your existence forever. The real test is just beginning. You wake to the clatter of bamboo canes on the flagstones and the guttural shouts of eunuchs. It is barely dawn. Your body aches from the hard palate. Your head swims from hunger. No one speaks. Each girl waits for the next command, the next insult, the next test. Every movement is watched, measured, written down. There are eyes everywhere. Officials, servants, the older women who haunt the edges of the camp, their faces blank as masks. You are herded into a line, forced to stand shoulder to shoulder beneath the open sky. The morning is colder here, inside these walls, where even sunlight feels filtered through suspicion. Today's ritual is different. Instead of doctors, you face a row of women in brocade, their hair coiled high and glittering with jade pins. These are the matrons, the inner palace's living gatekeepers. Their smiles are small and cruel. One by one, you are ordered to walk, turn, bow, recite memorized phrases. A matron kneels to inspect your ankles. Another pinches your arm, weighing the flesh. Your friend, if you can call her that, here, stumbles on a step. The matron snaps a command, and two eunuchs drag her away. You never see her again. Later, you find a strand of her hair on your pillow and hide it under your robe, the last proof she existed at all. But here's where it gets even darker. Those who remain are marched to a stone-walled barracks where the real training begins. They call it etiquette, but you quickly learn the truth. For hours each day, you kneel on woven mats while a stern-faced woman demonstrates the proper way to bow, to kneel, to speak. Mistakes are punished with slaps or sharp raps of a rod on the back of your hands. If you flinch, the punishment is doubled. Silence is survival. Even a whisper, a sigh, can earn you a night in the reflection cell, a windowless closet where you kneel until dawn, no matter how cold the stone. Historical records from the Qing Dynasty Palace archives detail these lessons with chilling efficiency. Girls are drilled on the rules of the inner court, forced to memorize a litany of forbidden words, forbidden gestures, forbidden dreams. You are not to look a superior in the eye. You must never speak unless spoken to. Imperial pleasure is your purpose, intone the trainers, and obedience your only protection. But the systematic horror is more than discipline. Every week, a doctor is summoned to inspect your body. He is not gentle. He checks your tongue, your teeth, the softness of your hands, the shape of your hips. Sometimes he brings a nurse who performs the gynecological examination. You don't know the word, only the pain and the shame as you're made to lie naked before strangers. They record your every reaction. If you cry, you are marked as unstable. If you resist, your name is noted on a separate list. You hear rumors that this list is for those unfit for service. But what happens to those girls, no one says. You learn quickly. Survival here means erasing your personality. You lower your eyes, fold your hands, bow at the right angle, hold your tongue until it feels unnatural. The girls who resist, the ones who cry, who beg, who remember their old lives, are weeded out, one by one. Sometimes they simply disappear. Other times they are forced to watch as the others are rewarded with a sweet cake or a silk ribbon, proof that compliance means comfort, however small. But here's what you're not told about the emperor's real motives. The selection is not simply about beauty or health. It is about control. The more you submit, the safer you are, or so it seems. In truth, every concession makes you less yourself. The older concubines, watching from the shadows, whisper warnings. Do not let them see you care. They remember what happened to those who cared too much, who loved too deeply, who tried to help a friend. You begin to notice the patterns. The girls with the softest voices, the smallest movements, the least resistance are singled out for grooming. They are given better food, softer bedding, extra lessons in calligraphy or music. Sometimes they are called away at night, returning with downcast eyes and fresh bruises hidden under their sleeves. You learn not to ask questions. The punishments are swift and brutal. If one girl breaks a rule, all are punished. You are denied meals, forced to kneel for hours, beaten on the back of your calves with rods. Some girls lose consciousness and are left on the floor until morning. The guards never intervene. They are the law here. But what you don't realize is how completely your fate is out of your hands. The eunuchs keep lists, updating them every day. The favored girls are moved to private quarters, prepared for their presentation to the Imperial family. The rest remain in limbo, never told whether they will be chosen, discarded, or simply forgotten. A mini hook. But tonight, the real selection begins. After a week of this, you are summoned with 20 others to the bathing hall. You are stripped and scrubbed by servants who do not speak. The water is cold. The soap stings your eyes. You catch glimpses of yourself in a polished bronze mirror, a stranger's face, hollow-eyed and shorn. They dress you in new robes of pale yellow silk, tie your hair with red thread, mark your forehead with a circle of vermilion paint. The oldest eunuch enters. His voice is reedy, barely above a whisper, but it silences the room. Tonight, you will stand before the Empress Dowager and her court. Remember, obedience is survival. Disgrace is death. Your hands shake as you kneel in the receiving hall, the marble floor slick with the footprints of those who came before. You sense the eyes behind the screens, the judges who will decide your fate. You feel the heat of the lamps, the cold breath of fear at the base of your spine. Somewhere in the shadows, an older concubine meets your eyes for a moment, then looks away. You wonder what she sees, if she remembers her own first night, if she pities you, or if pity has become a luxury no one here can afford. The doors swing open. The real test begins now. The doors glide open, revealing a corridor lined with gold and crimson, its silence broken only by the shuffle of slippers and the measured footsteps of palace officials. You're herded into a marble chamber bright with lanterns, where the air smells of camphor, ink, and fear. Every detail here is designed to unsettle. The blank stares of the guards, the elaborate costumes of the court women, the watchful presence of eunuchs clutching lacquered registers. You kneel, heart pounding, hands flat against your thighs, trying not to tremble as the scrutiny begins. The Empress Dowager enters, a living legend wreathed in silks and pearls, her gaze as cold as jade. She says nothing at first. Her attendants, daughters of noble families, now high-ranking concubines themselves, circle your group, their voices hushed as they recite your village, family background, physical measurements. Every detail has been double-checked, every flaw documented. This is not a pageant, not even a ceremony. It is a trial, a public weighing of bodies and bloodlines. You're called forward. Your knees creak. You bow, pressing your forehead to the stone as required. The Empress Dowager's chief attendant questions you. Age, family, menstrual cycles, even the time of your last illness. Any hesitation is met with a raised eyebrow, a cold silence that lingers like frost. You sense that the real interrogation is happening in silence. The measured glances, the quick notes on parchment, the smallest tremor, the faintest nervous tick can be your undoing. But this next phase is the real test, one you cannot prepare for. One by one, you and the other girls are paraded before a panel of palace women and senior eunuchs. There is nowhere to hide. In a side chamber, you're made to stand as your robe is open to the waist. They check your skin for scars, birthmarks, imperfections. Your hands are examined for calluses, your hair for lice. If you flinch, if you so much as wince, you are marked for further inspection. A quiet phrase seals your fate. Requires correction. You glimpse what correction means. If your age is suspect, too close to the limit, too young, too old, you're sent to a small room, separated from the others. There, your teeth and bones are examined again. If your answers don't match the records, you're detained. Rumors whisper through the ranks. Some girls are declared older than they are, forcibly retired from the process, and sent to work in the palace kitchens. Others, said to be too young, are kept in a kind of limbo, not selected, but not released. Some simply vanish. But this isn't about beauty, it's about absolute submission. A girl beside you coughs, and a matron snaps her fingers. Instantly, the girl is taken aside, isolated behind a screen. Illness, even a hint of it, is reason for immediate exclusion. A tiny stain on your robe, a sign of menstrual blood perhaps, draws the eyes of two attendants. You see them whisper, then gesture to the guards. The girl is removed without a word, her existence erased before she even realizes what's happening. Institutional horror closes in. The threat isn't only to you, but to your family. Before the selection, each girl's parents signed a contract. If their daughter is rejected for moral failings or hidden defects, their name is blackened. Punishments can include fines, forced labor, even exile from their village. Your family's standing now hangs by a thread you cannot control. You recall how your mother begged you to behave, to make us proud. In this moment, pride is as fragile as paper in the rain. Historical sources, including the secret registers kept by Empress Dowager Cixie's court in the late 1800s, record these punishments in detail. Daughters rejected for failing virtue checks could bring ruin to entire lineages. One entry reads, "Family of Liu, disgraced for daughter's impure conduct, property seized, exiled to borderlands." The message is clear. Any failure is not just personal, but generational. But here's where the selection becomes truly chilling. It isn't the officials or matrons who decide your fate alone. The emperor's close advisors, eunuchs who have survived decades in this system, review every decision, cross-checking lists, looking for discrepancies, potential threats, or signs of disobedience. You see a girl with a distinctive birthmark quietly moved to a separate group. Another, who fainted during inspection, is not seen again. As midnight approaches, the selected girls, those deemed worthy, are separated from the rest. You're taken to a side corridor, away from the eyes of the main court. There is no celebration, no explanation, only the mechanical efficiency of officials doing what they have done countless times before. The failures, some crying, some numb, some in stunned silence, are lined up at the far end of the hall. Palace guards open a small door leading out into the night. You glimpse a row of carts waiting in darkness. One by one, the rejected are ushered into the shadows. You hear a muffled sob, a stifled scream. No one asks where they are going. You understand. To ask is to risk joining them. The ones who remain are herded down another corridor, stripped again of their old clothes, handed a new robe, marked on the wrist with ink. There is no time to mourn, no time to process what you've witnessed. You are told only, tonight, you belong to the inner court. Forget the past. A matron leans close, her whisper colder than the night air. Now you will see what being chosen truly means. You are led through winding, torch-lit corridors that twist ever deeper into the forbidden city, every footstep echoing, with the knowledge that escape is no longer possible. The handful of girls who have survived the culling are herded into a chamber where the air is thick with incense and old secrets. Here, the ritual of becoming an imperial concubine begins, not with celebration, but with humiliation. One by one, you are stripped and inspected again, this time not just for flaws, but for purity. A court physician, expressionless, hands cold and clinical, performs a final examination. You are told to lie still as he checks for virginity, a process that is as painful as it is dehumanizing. If you show fear, the matrons note it down. If you protest, you are slapped. Every whimper, every flinch is evidence against you. You wonder if your body is even yours anymore, or just another instrument for imperial use. Next comes the purification ritual. You are scrubbed with rough cloths, your hair doused in perfumed water, your fingernails scraped clean with a knife. The scent of bitter herbs lingers in the steam. Eunuchs recite prayers, splashing you with ladles of cold water, insisting that this is to cleanse you of your former life. In reality, it feels like erasure, a final severing of everything you once were. But this is not the end. For many, it's only the beginning of another ordeal. The favored girls, those who passed every test, who never cried out, who learned to mask their fear, are taken to private quarters, small, windowless rooms with lacquered screens and hard, narrow beds. You are told that this is a privilege. In truth, it is isolation. No one explains what will happen next, only that you are to wait in silence. Food is left at your door. Each night, an older concubine visits, teaching you how to dress, how to bow, how to speak in the presence of the emperor or empress dowager. The lessons are endless, the standards unforgiving. If you fail, your privileges are revoked. The reality of palace life descends quickly. Guards patrol the corridors at all hours. Every movement is watched. The other girls become strangers, each one terrified that friendship could be mistaken for conspiracy. You hear the stories whispered behind fans, how one girl spoke out of turn and was beaten so severely she never walked again. How another failed to kneel quickly enough and was sent to scrub latrines until her hands bled. The message is clear. Survival here means perfect, silent obedience. Society outside the palace sees only the glory. You imagine your family lighting incense and offering thanks that you have brought them honor. They cannot know that honor inside these walls is indistinguishable from imprisonment. For every girl who ascends in rank, there are dozens who vanish, sent away for impurity, for minor illnesses, for falling out of favor. The punishments are as systematic as the selection. Exiled to a far-off province, forced marriage to a palace servant, endless servitude in the kitchens, sometimes even death, recorded as natural causes. Historical records from the Qing dynasty document the cold calculus of these fates. One register from 1872 lists 6 concubines dismissed for disobedience, sent to distant post. Another, concubine Yang, found impure after selection, exiled, and erased from the family registry. Even the favored are never truly safe. The palace is a machine that devours hope, grinding every girl down until nothing remains but ritual, obedience, and fear. But this is not the end. What happens if you displease the emperor, or if the empress dowager decides you are a threat? The punishment is swift and absolute. You have heard of girls made to disappear overnight, their names struck from every record, their families ruined by association. The rumor that haunts you most is of the Cold Palace, a section of the Forbidden City where fallen concubines are left to starve in silence, their existence denied by all. The threat is constant, even in the smallest acts. A dropped teacup, a misplaced word, a moment of hesitation, any of these can be fatal. The older concubines warn you, forget everything you were. Only those who become shadows survive. You listen, afraid to breathe too loudly, afraid to remember your own name. And yet, the palace does not let you forget what you have lost. Each morning, you hear the distant clang of bells, the laughter of the Empress Dowager's favorites, the weeping of those marked for punishment. Some nights, you see carts wheeled through the back gates, covered in black cloth. No one speaks of where they go. The silence is answer enough. An older concubine leans in close, her eyes hollow. Surviving the selection is not surviving the palace, she whispers. Here, every day is a new test, and most who fail do not get a second chance. You stare at your hands, scrubbed, bloodless, trembling. You wonder how many days until you, too, are erased. You wake to the hush of pre-dawn, heart pounding at the unfamiliar quiet. It's a silence that means something has changed. You're summoned, without warning, by 2 eunuchs in dark robes, men you've never seen before. They do not answer your questions. Down winding passages, past rooms you've never entered, You glimpse others with the same empty eyes, the same marks on their wrists. A dread you cannot name settles in your chest. In a small windowless office, an official unrolls a yellowed scroll and calls out your number. He doesn't ask your name. He simply points. Your name appears on the transfer list. For a moment, your mind blanks. You've heard the rumors. The list means exile, marriage to a palace servant, or worse. But no one explains. No one even looks you in the eye. Here's where the true horror of the system reveals itself. Some girls are told they are to marry the palace guards. Strangers they've never spoken to, chosen only to remove them from the harem. Others are marched out, never to return, their belongings packed up in silence, their names struck from all records. For a handful, it is worse. You hear the muffled weeping as a girl is led to the cold palace, the hidden wing where those who displease the emperor, or even simply become inconvenient, are abandoned in locked rooms, left to starve or slip into madness. You feel your own hope wither as you realize that even survival here can mean being buried alive. Historical death registers from the Qing dynasty record the finality of these disappearances. In the harem ledgers, entries appear in careful script. Transferred, unfit, no return, or simply deceased, natural causes. But everyone knows the truth. Girls vanish in the night, some by poison, some by suicide, some simply erased so completely that it is as if they never existed at all. The system leaves no witnesses, no graves, only empty beds and empty names. But the most disturbing revelation is this. The system works because everyone accepts it. The officials, the eunuchs, the senior women, they all enforce the rules because to question them is to risk everything. The palace is a living organism, one that survives by feeding on the lives of its most vulnerable. You remember the words of an older concubine. Here, survival costs more than you can afford. She was right. Survival here means not just obeying, but accepting the slow erasure of your own mind, your own desires, your own memories. Outside the palace walls, your family celebrates your success, never knowing that your voice is lost, your fate uncertain, your body reduced to a line in a registry or a rumor whispered among servants. Inside, the reality is silence, isolation, and the constant fear of being chosen for the next transfer, the next ritual, the next disappearance. You are not alone in your suffering. Records from 1902 show the harem shrinking rapidly, not because the system grew kinder, but because so many girls vanished, so many families ruined, so many lives erased with the stroke of a brush. Concubine May, one register notes, exiled for disobedience, family lost, fate unknown. The bureaucracy moves on, unmoved, efficient, relentless. And here at the emotional peak, you are forced to choose. Do you fight for the smallest scraps of safety, knowing it means hurting others, turning away when they suffer? Or do you cling to a fragment of self, risking everything for a kind word or a remembered name? Most choose silence. Most become shadows, moving through days as ghosts, hoping only not to be noticed. Now the truth is inescapable. Surviving the selection was never the real test. The real ordeal is living with what survival costs. You came into this place believing in the myth of imperial glamour, silks, jewels, power. You leave it knowing the price is paid in bodies, in silence, in the slow grinding loss of self. But as you watch the new arrivals, girls with shaven heads, trembling in thin robes, you recognize the cycle repeating. The system survives because it makes monsters of us all, not by violence alone, but by teaching us to accept, to enforce, to forget. You have seen the cost of power, written in vanished names and haunted eyes. And as the palace bells toll, you realize you can never return, not just to your home, but to the person you were before these gates closed. If this journey has stripped away the old myths and revealed the raw machinery behind Imperial glory, then you are already changed. Hit subscribe now if seeing history without illusion matters to you. Because only by knowing what was hidden can we understand how power really works and whose voices get lost when the gates finally close.